Hope you're well and doing great on this Friday. I know that I'm so looking forward to today's session with you. Early this morning, I just can't wait to get online with everyone and be able to discuss markets. And it is quite a day so far. Starting off here with the NASDAQ, and not out of the woods by any means whatsoever. However, substantial recovery off the low as New York open occurred. You saw NASDAQ shooting up. Look at these candles, by the way. These are like, here's the open. And you see, these are 30-second candles. You see markets shoot down in about 2 minutes, about 150 points, and then shooting up again in the next, 2 minutes, another 200, 150 points. And then since then, there's been an incredible recovery. And so, sure enough, like if we close below the line and the day's not over and there's still a lot of activity to go, if we close below the trend line, it'll be the first time we have a technical breakdown since the April lows and since recovering to new all-time highs. Here, price makes new all-time highs. And since then, we've had one touch, two touches, a flirt just last Friday. And then what happened this morning was that we took out the lows of last Friday, what potentially looks like a liquidity grab. It would be funny if we close at the open, if we close with a doji here on the daily, because it would be just sitting right at the trend line, right above it. And it would be like a mega battle between the bulls and the bears, and it would be difficult to say who's winning. The bulls need to they need to definitely here consolidate the gains that they've made on today's session and to close near its highs for us to feel that, all right, that was a save and a butte and indeed a liquidity grab. If they don't and we close below the line, and there we need to therefore afterwards be able to take that out. It's weird. It looks similar to this over here. And you look back at 1998 over here, and you see that V, the big correction, and then sprang out of it. Could that happen? I didn't think it happened. It's the markets. So that's what we're watching today. And it's a big deal. If we close below the green line, that's the first technical breakdown, trend line break, since breaking out to new all-time highs. Over here at the top, Wednesday, Powell rang the bell. Powell's like, listen, I don't know that we're cutting in December. Market since then has been in heavy correction. And then you see the narrative following about like, what's going on here with Oracle and feeling the pain. And then I wonder, or, we should have what has been liquidity headwinds over here with rising dollar bouncing a little bit today. We can find the dollar over here. Dollars, remember that important trend line we put over here? We said if the dollar breaks down, that would then lead to likely a lower dollar. This rise in the dollar has definitely put or reduced global liquidity. And this question is do they cut? And if so, dollar likely is coming back down. Or they don't. Is dollar bouncing here? We don't know. We know that right now it seems that, greater chance than not that they pause in December. However, that's going to come down to the first week of December when we do have all of the jobs data. And that is what Powell said they're watching. One other data point is November 28th is the Fed Beige Book. And that's going to be really crucial for having any type of idea of what's been happening with the economy as the government has been shut down. So those are what we're watching ahead. We're watching, and of course, next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, is NVIDIA's earnings. And NVIDIA has been able so far, bouncing today, leading the charge. NVIDIA was green this morning when everything else was red. And yeah, it's going to come down to earnings. Put up or shut up. Let's see what it is. I can't believe the biotech, the relative strength here, absolutely insanely crazy. Got like, to be honest, these I know right now Keith is laughing his head off. It was the reason January 2023 that CTM moved towards the daily and stocks was because of big shout out Philly right here, and he's like like the volatility on these 3 times leveraged ETNs, they make Bitcoin and crypto look silly. True to form, no doubt about it. What's going on here with Bitcoin? So we covered this, right? We want to take a look at Bitcoin. We want to see what's happening over here. We want to see what's going on with V4 before we do over here. First of all, so far an incredible effort by the bulls. Markets up, I don't know, they were down 2% when the liquidity grab happened. They're up now probably 0.8%, 0.74%. A 2.74% move off the lows is substantial. If they hold it or consolidate that, it's quite a statement, and we'll have to watch and see what it happens. I want to bring your attention over here, and first of all, right? Y'all remember the work that I've done and the thread that this started over here in 2022, and we were discussing with Ben Cowan, and I was like, listen, M2 is silly, and monetary base total is the signal. And here we are now, and you can see that M2 is still rising. Now I'm looking at it just from US centric base. Here's global M2, and quite the deviation has occurred twice between Bitcoin price and global M2. But the point here is that what is signal is monetary base total. And monetary base total has been going down and out, and likely it has a lot of it has to do with the strength of the dollar, more so QT, more so the stress we're seeing right now on the repo market. And here's the thing, though, and this is why I say higher, much higher. Look over here. The last time that we saw monetary base total coming out like this, peaking, was September 2019 when they stopped QT and started the balance sheet expansion. And that's exactly what we should see in December. We should forget this. This is print, 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 print. And what we're seeing over here, though, is what is likely right now and through the next 2 weeks, right? Because we got to get to when QT stops and the balance sheets begin rising. But monetary base total is about to bottom and should be rising. And when that does, yeah, I stick to my whole Fed cycle. And I talked about the current phase that we were in. And the phase that we were in was, rate cuts beginning. QT finally comes to an end. Once it does, you start seeing the balance sheet rise, and that should extend the cycle, and that should be very conducive to risk. However, and if you go back to what happened in 2019, it was tech that led, right? We talk about, funds flowing into assets depending on where they are on the risk curve, and it was first tech that led. And then Bitcoin was able to gain its footing, and then Bitcoin started going bid. And of course, months later were the global lockdowns. But outside of that, Bitcoin was looking really strong and solid. And I expect much of the same. We would like to see tech lead out of this. And then Bitcoin is going to find its footing. And then Bitcoin is going to be able to, get going over here. It's like, the bull needs to first walk into, to get to a gallop. It's first got to start trotting and then cantering, and then it could go into a full throttle gallop. And this is also around the time here that Ethereum really began to first pick up that liquidity also. And then people keep asking well, I'm just trying to set people's expectations. Expectations should not be that QT stops, balance sheet expansion starts, and Bitcoin moons. It should be tech leads first, and then it should be Bitcoin finds its footing. And that just what happened last cycle was a very positive outcome for Ethereum. And that's when Ethereum should, I think Ben a long time ago was doing this is the time, and I kept highlighting it. This is when alts bleed into Ethereum. At the stop of QT and the beginning of balance sheet expansion should be that phase. And what, like, people asking about alt season, we're not in alt season now. This is not the time to be. Is it a time to potentially pick up alts? Yeah. I mean, look, it's always hardest when it's scary out there. This was a bit of a scary moment over here. If we close below, or if we close below today, there could be substantial follow through. Substantial follow through. This is just into this pocket over here is just into the previous all-time high. And more often than not, there's not a gap between the all-time high and price like now. And more often than not, it doesn't stop. It comes down and tests back further before coming up. So we don't know what happens. We know that our positioning here continues to be strong and solid in so much as that we're looking at, first starting with stocks, it's just MicroStrategy short, and everything else is on the sidelines, 100% in cash. And that right there is the best way to be, because we are so nimble and we could go so quickly into fully positioned as we got ourselves so quickly into 100% cash outside of the short on MicroStrategy. Bitcoin bull runs still well out of the market since 114,000. And then we see over here, we'll get to discretionary second. By the way, just like briefly, and then I'll get into it more. Because the correct version is likely not said, but a version of the V4 release sent to Phoenix Fire, the architect of Buy Side Boost. Buy Side Boost is chilling. Look at these drawdowns over here. Like, now as Bitcoin is in correction, and you're just seeing everyone safe on the buy side boost. It feels fantastically great. Over here, we got short positions open on Ethereum and also on Cardano, continuing to hold short, just so you see the difference between V4 and what it's doing. Bitcoin is in a short position right now, and it's just currently at break even, 0.8% into profit. It's been poking at the short side. Not too much happening, you know. Ethereum over here also barely into, just at break even on the short side, and Cardano over here the same thing, just poking at the short side. The thing is this, because the question is, can we get V4? It's not that easy at all, and it's not finally it's not that easy, and we are working diligently on it. This is off the bottom here. This V4 candidate, though, unfortunately, something's wrong here. It's providing better performance. Here it is off the bottom, at the start of the bull market, January 1st, 2023, and it's tremendously outperforming buy and hold here. That's both the buy and sell side, though. If you get rid of the sell side over here, it's still barely outperforming buy and hold, but what a tremendous feat. Even at the top, it's outperforming buy and hold, which is on trading in and out and then picking something from its very bottom to its very top to try to trade around that and outperform it is an unbelievable feat. It's an unbelievable feat. Now, something's wrong though, and it before the release, we need to figure out what it is and everything. This is from 2021 bottom, and you can see, I mean, ridiculous. But something on the on this release counter, you can see the profit is a little bit different, and the V4 candidate should not be better than the release. And then I go back down, and I just showed you from the 2021. That was like 8,000. This is 4,000. So, and everything is fine on Ethereum, Cardano, and Solana, but there's work being done all the time, and there's nothing easy about it, and it's absolutely extraordinary. So we're working on it, and yeah, we would like to have it available to the community as soon as. Well, someone thinks that's easy. First of all, no, someone thinks that's easy. I'm gonna just get up in there right now. You have no idea. That's all I'll say, and you never will. So that's about all the time that you get. I'll leave it to your mama to show you some attention. Bringing it back over here, and we are just holding short, and poking short on the short side. And then this is what I wanted to bring up, this slide over here. And so we were looking yesterday, and I said, well, if we break this support, then we're coming down and we're tagging 98,500. And we went through there like butter. You can see that we bounced off there first, and then down to this next support over here at 96,000. I'm just looking below, and this is such an, hold on, let me zoom out a little bit because I'm on the 8 hour. So for a little bit of perspective, this is the consolidation prior to the election and the major pump out of it. This is the low that we spiked into at that particular point. Coming back over here, this was the launch of the ETFs. And then the major spike down, and that's also the low. We have the two lows in this area over here. Very important. Do you remember over here in January, after we came all the way down to 40,000, and I was like, in February we will make a new all-time high. Man, we've had some lucky calls for sure. That's up there with the summer of 2021. By October, we'll make a new all-time high. And then over here, you can see this is after the grayscale court decision. And Price was then front running the intern leak out of the SEC. And then this is where we established that support. So that's been tested after the ETF launch. That was tested in the summer of 2024 during the great consolidation before the great pump out of the election. And since then, this is the first time we've broken a new low over here. So if we break this area, and it's an important one, I'll show you from a different perspective in a minute. If we were to break 88,000 and close below it, that's something's wrong, right? That's a major, 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 major support in the market. And if that were to break, then likely we're coming lower. And if we were, I mean, you should have something at the top of the resistance. Someone doesn't believe me, whatever. I really don't care. You could just blitz the thumbs down button. I really don't care. At that point, I'll have to go ahead and go like this, and because we come into 76, right? That's that resistance should be support, and if we break over here at 70K, that's going back to March 2023. So I'm looking, yeah, okay. This is right here where the courts rule in favor of grayscale. This was tested in March 2023, right? These are the next pivotal ones over here. Hold on, I should color code it, but I don't like the look when it's color coded, right? That over here is $68,000, 60, and below that, by the way, below that is right now 62,000. Below that's the bull market invalidation of the bull market that I've held. I get to do it because I called the bull market at 17,250 in December 2022 when everyone was extraordinarily bearish. And I was like, no, that's the bull market breakout. And all over YouTube, X, that's the bull market breakout. The video is out on the YouTube. And then I said, well, this is the invalidation if this breaks. And so far, it hasn't broke. Now, I know everyone is calling the bear market. We're already in the bear market now. First, it's, well, there's going to be one more high, and that high comes into 130, 140, and then the bear market 2026. And well, we haven't gotten there. And here we are. I just want to see what that is because $55,000 Bitcoin is cheap is above that line right now. This line from what would be the invalidation of the bull market. And just to give you an idea of what that pullback would look like in a percentage terms over here, it's about, right, like 55% pullback. And again, I've said diminished volatility. I've said we're running right now into the early adoption phase, early majority of an S curve, and like diminished volatility, like there could be between a 40 and 60% pullback. I think that if to get a greater pullback, like 50%, 60%, you have to come off a rise like this, right? I would be completely not like, it's not my opinion. I would be like, not my expectations if we had, without a rise like that, and we had a magnitude of a pullback like over here. If that breaks, though, the bull market, technically, from my own assessment, is completely over, and my whole thesis and what was is completely off and wrong. Now, we had over here a major event. This was the re-upending of the global trade, and Bitcoin here held 75. We've now broken that. We just broke it yesterday. We were trading above it. We've broken that resistance, and we got right now what is a liquidity crunch. That liquidity crunch is going to be alleviated through TGA, stop that headwind, and begin drawing down, pushing money into the economy. And then more importantly, December 1st, which is 2 weeks away, by the end of QT, and then that balance sheet begin expanding the other way. I don't know that Bitcoin, again, it had trouble finding its footing before it started to run. I'm just going to go back and show you what I mean by that. Here is 2000, here's September 2019, and then the Fed stops QT, and Bitcoin, again, guys, the market cap was so small at the time that you could have this major price fluctuations. That's not going to happen, obviously, this time. Look at that mega pump from 17,000. That's like a 40% pump, 35% pump. But point is that Bitcoin still into November traded lower. And at this particular point in time, NASDAQ is melting up. So hold on, come over here. I just want you to see the difference. And then we'll come over to 2019, September. So here's when the Fed stops, right, September 19th. They stop QT. It's not an immediate reaction, but within a couple of weeks or 10 days, NASDAQ finds its bottom, and then it shoots up. And why NASDAQ is shooting up, you can see Bitcoin under pressure, and NASDAQ continues blitzing. So this is why I say first we should see tech leading, right? And if you start seeing the end of QT and you start seeing the balance sheet going the way and Bitcoin not yet finding its footing and or reacting, don't worry. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not that it doesn't mean it's going to happen like that. It might not, but if it does, that's happened before. Don't be alarmed. Give it some time. Tech should lead, and then Bitcoin should find its footing, and then it should begin also its run. And coming back to this area over here that we were just looking at, 2019, like once Bitcoin found its footing and began running, that's like a 40% increase. And then yes, like a global lockdown happened. If that didn't happen, my assessment was coming into the May 2020 halving, Bitcoin likely was supposed to be at 11,500 or around there. It was suppressed coming into the halving because of, obviously, they locked us down. Do I see a no, I gold is acting much different. By the way, here we go. And I'm not going to bring this down like this. Maybe I should. That's a perfect touch. Look at these two touches over here. No, it's not perfect. I'm not going to bring it down to this one like this yet. And it's going to I'm going to go back to how I had it, because it was just a rough sketch like this. And I'm just going to wait. Like, my expectation are that it should take to around February for gold to be able to find its footing and give out. Now, it might not happen. This consolidation under resistance was extraordinary, and I was looking for gold to hopefully come down towards the 3,000. I never happened. And it might not happen again. But I see, like, I don't think gold is acting like a debasement trade. I think gold is acting like a monetary reset trade. And I don't think that's going to stop. And the relationship between Bitcoin and gold has been significantly different this cycle. And the reason being is because we are seeing monetary reset in real time. We've talked about that since forever, but it is happening. And I don't, I don't think there's going to be a rotate. You're seeing a rotation from Bitcoin into gold. Like people that have been holding Bitcoin and been able to hold it from, $15,000 and run it to 1 billion, they're diversifying into gold. Tether, who has their Bitcoin position, they're buying gold and miners. Like there's not a diversification from Bitcoin, like gold holders into Bitcoin, and maybe at a much higher price. I don't know if that's, I don't know what that is. Whether or not it's something like 10, 15, 20,000 gold, when people would say, well, let me, but that's not happening now. And that shouldn't happen now. And I don't think that's going to happen now, you know? Um, Sorry, I was looking at everything. And silver too on the pullback today. Nice double top. We've seen lots of double tops in the market. Double tops are meant to be broken, so we'll see what happens. Check it out, you guys. What was the call we had yesterday as Ethereum was breaking down below the trend line? It was to come right in and test that structure. Interesting, right? There you go. Let's get a thumbs down for that. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Um, where are we right now? Let's jump back over and find our footing. Yes, I think we got it. Um, just to reiterate over here, as we're talking about the Nasdaq, as we're talking about M1 coming down now, and you see Bitcoin under massive pressure as it does, but that's about to change. And again, like it's like you see what's going to happen, and you sometimes we expect things to happen a lot sooner. Be patient. We want to see tech be able to resume out first, and if that's happening and it takes Bitcoin a minute to find its footing, don't worry, it's fine. Now it should be fine. We're just don't get alarmed. It's what's happened in the past. I just want to bring us over to um here and just a little bit of fun. So a lot of people were loving this, about 40% higher. How do you feel about it now? I'm not sure. I've never taken the time to look into the company themselves. But like, look, simple TA, when we closed below the trend line, that's when we said that's going to be trouble. Let's check out what's going on here. Ooh, is this becoming attractive? They're going to close the gap. Is that possible? Does it matter? Is it needed? I, let's. I might have to make a move if that were to happen. This is obviously the safe play. This is aggressive, right? This is a black diamond breakout, and here you have the conservative line of when it's safe to kind of take a poke at it. We'll be watching. I'm watching over here. Oof. That I'm interested in this one. I like the steep descent here of that falling wedge. The relative strength here has been absolutely fascinating, no doubt about it. What over here is, let's take a look at, people are looking at Tesla. So far holding the line. If that line breaks, that's bad news bears. However, I'd be so happy. I got so bullish on Tesla now long term as Elon has gotten his shareholder vote, and Elon is like, okay, I could build the robot army because now I have control, and to build an army he will. And to think about I'm so bullish on Tesla, um but I would like opportunity, and I don't think this is opportunity. A breakdown below though, that might set up some opportunity. This was opportunity when oh, that's the breakdown when Elon was out of favor. Sorry, over here. But anyway, we wait and we watch because there's so much time. Nvidia here reacting well so far. Nvidia has earnings next week. Major, major, major importance. I'm just looking over here, right? You can see the wick down, reclaiming that today, possibly. We have to wait for earnings to make any type of assessment there. Meta's still under pressure, unloved. The market not liking what's going on with the developmental. I'm not sleeping on Meta whatsoever, and you know that Mark just hired a lot of extreme talent poached from OpenAI, and I wonder. I just don't like the company. It's like Apple here looking good. Amazon closing some gaps over here. You like the company? I don't like Zuckerberg. I don't like him at all. Never trust the guy. Uh, delete Facebook. Delete Facebook. Um, Microsoft. Man, I got such conflicted thoughts here. The only person like talk about great villains. We got Bill Gates himself, the founder, but it's hard not to be bullish on the company. That's a tough one. Stay away. That's what's great about Bitcoin. That's what's great about Bitcoin. There is no CEO, there is no founder outside of Satoshi, right? Um, anyway, Netflix sucks. These are the interesting ones for sure. Biotech continues to outperform like no one's business. Is there a time and a place when you see something like CoreWeave or Oracle become interesting? All right, let's check out over here, and then let's start with Oracle. Oracle, is that a liquidity grab on Oracle? I wouldn't touch the thing. This is like, you know what? Bitcoin here, is it gonna move up 50%? Could it make a leg up to 150, 140, within the next 3 to 5 months for sure and easily. Uh, well, yeah, that's about the same. I'd rather bet on Bitcoin, no question about it. What about CoreWeave? Could CoreWeave, which was everyone's darling not too long ago, now given at 50%, it's it's a 50% retracement. It's not a you know, is CoreWeave going to outperform Bitcoin into the end of the year? What are your thoughts on that? That's an interesting one. There's a good chance it could. What's your thoughts on that? I'm interested to hear your all thoughts on that. Circle back above. It has to become a little bit more interesting. No, I don't trade. I haven't traded foreign exchange ever since the wow, ever since the February into March 2020, ever since taking those positions against the commodity currencies into the safe haven Swiss franc and um and Japanese yen. And there has been I was blindsided by Bitcoin and missed the incredible devaluation of the yen and during this period over here. I think this was, and I've did a talk about it. This was the greatest miss right over here in March. There's two. You ready? Let me give them both. Let me get rid of a little bit of this noise. And this is a great question and so important. All right. Right over here in March of 2022, when the US began their rate hiking cycle, this like obviously that's attractive for the dollar. This should have been a layup, and this was like my greatest one of my greatest regrets over the last 5 years missing this trade because it was such an easy trade, and it's such a significant trade. This is an incredible move in foreign exchange. The other one was this, I suppose, not as much, but I wish I would have been smart enough to know in this area over here after the Powell steps in to put on the carry trade. The thing is like living in Mexico, and everyone's experienced so many peso devaluations that no one wants to hold pesos and everyone wants to hold dollars. And then when you're coming off of this massive spike, this is a crazy move. I didn't have the mindset and awareness to be like, okay, now is the time to be putting on the peso carry trade versus the dollar, because the peso is paying significantly more interest, and the amount of money you made on the carry plus the movement, uh, those two trades I really, really, really should have been all over. And then I asked myself on occasion, I'm not an AI. I wish I were. No, I don't wish I was an AI. I'm glad to be human. I mean, I wish I had a different type of mental capacity to be keenly aware of everything I should at the exact moment. And I try to ask myself what type of moves are, not where are we today? What's going to matter 6 months from now? What's going to matter 1 year from now? And is there anything that is setting up as such? And unfortunately, I don't know when they return to the printer. I believe there's going to be a time when they return to the printer again, and that's one of the moments where there's a lot going on and is an opportunity. And then the crisis into that also, that's a really good opportunity. But yeah, I these are the only two trades I wish I've participated in foreign exchange over the last 5 years, and I didn't get either one of them. I love this one here. There is always opportunity. I don't have any thoughts on quantum. I know that obviously Alphabet for a long time has put significant amount of talent and resources towards it. They seem to from time to time show gains that have been made. And you see a lot of these other startups, and when they do, they get wrecked in share price, and likely the the likely Alphabet is a leader, I would say. I think it's going to be a bit of a time before that becomes something of more than a moonshot, and I don't have any thoughts on that. Is Bitcoin going down 60% after the 4 year cycle? What 4 year cycle? Is there a 4 year cycle? I don't think so. Um, I don't think so. In which direction? So, are you believing right now the carry trade is going to unwind? That like so the way I look at the US dollar Mexican peso right now here today is, well, once the US begins cutting further with a more aggressive Fed chair, then that's likely going to continue to be favorable for the Mexican peso carry trade. And this is a liquidity crunch happening right now, and Mexican peso is strong against the dollar. The if the tariffs are ruled to be illegal by the Supreme Court and Trump backs off, that's extremely favorable for the Mexican peso. If Trump reduces tariffs, is there some talk about him reducing tariffs now? Um, I saw a headline. I don't know what it is. I saw a headline, and I don't know whatever. It's just a headline, but that like in 2026, here we go. he has a trade representative. It's time to take off some tariffs on products not made here. Just the headline. I don't know, but all those things seem to be conducive of a continued strong peso. Are we going to have a dollar liquidity crisis? We're not. There's I don't haven't that could unravel quickly. But right now, there's no shortage that I see of dollars or pressuring the system. So I'm not sure. That's a tough one. I have to favor the further peso strength unless the U.S. moves towards tightening. If the U.S. moves towards tightening, and even when they did over here in March 2022, here's March 2022. I mean, this is when that didn't work out because the Bank of Mexico was tightening with the Fed, and that was just really conducive here. This is when Trump's elected, and you see that the tariffs initially placed on Mexico were unfavorable. That's so far been unwound as the Fed begins looking towards its. I don't know. I I think that we're going to continue to grind along here, uh, you know, for the peso. There is speculation that a lot of this OG Bitcoiners selling are coming from Asia, from China, and it might have something to do with the Chinese government like saying you got to sell. It could have to do, another theory out there is this is the first time that these holders when you like, did you remember when Galaxy was able to unwind an 8-9 billion dollar Bitcoin position and it was just absorbed by the market? The market came off like 2 or 3%. That never before in history has that been possible. So those could be reasons why you're seeing a lot of OG sell it, and a lot of them are have been and continue to diversify into gold, and that could also be a reason why. But you know, maybe they believe in the 4 year cycle, and they wanted to get out at 100K. I don't know. We've seen obviously. I mean, how much did strategy buy last year? That's an important factor in the market. I don't I should, because it's an important factor in the market, but we should be looking at what the pace of strategies buying is over here. And they were a significant buyer in the market over the last 12 months. Bitcoin is basically flat the last 12 months, and they were a significant buyer. I view it that was extremely healthy to see a lot of coin distributed from people that have been holding a long time into what is seemingly new hands that are going to hold a long time. Uh, but other people are like, oh, well, Bitcoin is, it's going to $1 million and it's not stopping there. Why would you sell 100 at 100? Why wouldn't you? I can't. I don't. I think it's awesome. Anyone who held Bitcoin for that long and was able to like, that's what they're here for. So um the 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 other question over here was the dollar breakdown, and so it depends on if they cut or not, right? If they cut in December, so the first week of December is going to be massive in so much as that we get all the job data and we find out if they're cutting, because right now they're talking like they're not going to cut, and markets pricing in like they're not going to cut 50-50, basically leaning towards they're not going to cut. But if they do cut, I think this trend line breaks and there's pressure on the dollar. If they don't cut, we could see this resistance tested again and or broken. But soon enough, we're moving to, like, time keeps on moving, and we're moving into 2026, and Powell's about to step down, and it seems that there's going to be a board that's a lot more dovish than it is today. And here we are. Are we still in the sustainable channel? Ace, you should go. Like, there's a beautiful portion of today's session that is focused on this. You could find it in the stream. Well, first of all, this is. I guess we'll come to this in 1 second. Ace, if you look for this, the orange line, and scrolling back, and you go to the portion, I went over this in great detail, more so than I've done in many months. I want you to see that. But as far as the sustainable channel, we're well within the sustainable channel, right? And this is again this is during the great consolidation prior to the election. This is the wick low. I'm sorry, this is also the Japanese yen carry trade unwind drama, and that's the wick low. And then over here is the ETF launch low. ETF spot ETF launches. There's that great shakeout. So that's that low, that low. That line is coming in somewhere around 88,000, and we are super solid above that line. Break that line, and then we could go lower, but that's not the end of the bull market, because we have to cross the bull market breakout invalidation for that to happen. And that's above 55,000. Bitcoin is cheap. I don't see that happening. Now over here, this is like the sustainable channel, and we're into it right now. You could say, like, here's a daily pierced below it, holding on the daily. And Ace, this is the channel that I say that I feel that we've moved into, right? And we have the one touch, the two touches. That's coming in right there, that 88,000, that confluence. That's such an important level, that 88,000. And you can see over here the parallel channel that we're in. So this is the first time in Bitcoin's history that we've moved down a notch instead of usually up a notch in its angles. And then it's just one more line I wanted to look at with you because it's precise. And this is the invalidation. This line over here is the invalidation of the Bitcoin bull market. And I mean, it's pretty far now. So let's take a look. All right. It's not even that far. I mean, a 50% drawdown is not, that's that's well within range for a Bitcoin bull market. So yeah, I stand by. Nothing's changed from my own. Yeah, it's crystal clear. I think we're all good. Thanks, Joel. I really appreciated it myself, and that's why I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Gio, my thoughts on Bitcoin the next 6 to 12 months is that we're gonna see a higher high than the all-time high. That, um, yeah, that's, and a lot will depend on later next year what happens during the midterms. But I'm gonna say that if the Republicans sweep the midterm elections, that after the election, Bitcoin is gonna have a tremendous December. That's my prediction for 2026. If it doesn't, if they do not, that could be leading to the end of the bull market in Bitcoin. So that's probably controversial. It's probably too soon to share that with all of you, but of course there'll be a lot of other dynamics at play to consider around that time. As we get into the fall, we'll consider them. But from here today, looking that far into the future, I would say that depending on what happens in the midterm elections, that could either make a beautiful December, or that could be the end of the Bitcoin bull market. So that's what we're tracking. And I don't mean to, after such a great session, I don't mean to leave you with like that. And it's not political at all, you guys. So um no, I don't think so at all. I don't. I don't think so at all. I think that after the Fed stops QT and the balance sheet begins moving up, that markets are going to find their footing, and that look, Alexa, I could say that if the first quarter does not go well, that's not good look. That's not a good look. A lot of people are looking at, and you guys could be right, but that looks like a pretty nice. That looks like to me a pretty nice potential descending wedge in play, and I don't think this is correct. I guess that's as close as I get it. That's like a move into resistance. Forget my Forgive my TA here. It's extremely lacking, but that's an underbelly right there, and we were rejected at it. That's not good. But that would be a under breaking above there. If price was able to do that, that would be an underbelly breakout coming out of what I see as a descending wedge. And we were talking about, and I was looking for it yesterday with y'all from a parallel stance, and I couldn't get it. I was like, it doesn't, I can't, like, I don't, like, I was looking for when you have a breakdown of the channel, and I couldn't see it. But this is clear to me. And, you know, so far you're rejected at the underbelly breakout, but you get above here, that's a signal that is that's a signal worth taking, because your risk is managed if that's the entry and that's the risk. So call that, $3,000, and then the into resistance, you're looking at $6,000, 2 to 1 into resistance, and then forget it breaking above. That's an underbelly worthy of watching. Ooh, I don't I like that. I like that. See, sometimes you gotta poke around a while to uncover a nugget. That's a nugget to me. Moving over to Iron, I want to just take a look. I'm gonna leave this up over here to remind me what bad play on US dollar, Japanese yen, and US dollar, Mexican peso. So, man, let's find out what Ace is looking at, or maybe give him some fresh set of eyes. So you have a liquidity grab below over here. Maybe. Yeah, I like this one. I like that one. I mean, the way that I am choosing to execute my TA is the touch here, another touch here. It's not pretty, but that's the resistance, That a break above 50, right? 50 and a half. That is the area worthy to watch, or sloping downwards. Or you might want to even play it safe on this one and wait for a breakout above the outer. And I would defer to the outer one here, just because I'm not a fan of I don't, I guess I'm not a believer, but I have not done any research. Thank you. Thanks for being here, everyone. Y'all have a great weekend. And thanks for everyone here who is here. Please do hit the thumbs up. It really helps the channel. It really helps the algorithm. I'm grateful for it, and I'm more grateful for you being here throughout and just going over the charts with me. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and God bless you. I'll see you all on Monday.